Hi, everybody. Cut. Action. Welcome to a Action.
Sorry. My God, pull yourself together.
Okay. Action. Hi, everybody. This is episode 7 of These Nuts Podcast.
You're done.
We hope you enjoyed our surprise double episode week, episode
Season 6.
6.1 and 6.2. We had a lot of fun doing it. And then for today's episode, another surprise.
Ooh.
We have a guest, Drew Samuels from Rockin' Randy's Pro Outlaw podcast is going to be here today to tell us a couple of wrestling world stories.
Wrestling.
Okay, thank you so much, Drew, for agreeing to be on These Nuts podcast. If it's not too embarrassing for you. Aww. Well, what are you going to tell us about today?
Well, I thought since you guys seem to be infatuated with death, murder, blood, and all kinds of stuff, like associated with the dead
Ooh.
and violence.
That's me for sure.
Maybe one of us, but
hell yeah.
After you had heard the show that I had guested on previously, Rockin' Randy's, I had mentioned to you that there was a lot of crazy stories that came from the wrestling world, and you said, and I quote, "Do tell."
Exactly.
Yes.
Do tell. And so I thought we would go with murder. I mean, that's pretty much the penultimate ending. So
it's a fan favorite of mine.
The Von Erichs. Do you know the Von Erichs?
Tell us about them.
The Von Erichs. Crazy story. Crazy family. The father, Fritz Von Erich, real name Jack Adkisson, married a pretty little lady from Texas named Doris. And
she sounds adorable.
He was a star football player at SMU down in Dallas, Texas, back in the 30s or 40s, long time ago. But he parlayed that into becoming part of the Southern Methodist Dallas business clique, which is very affluent to this day. And he became a part of that because he was a landowner. He owned a lot of land and whatnot, and a lot of real estate investments in the Dallas Metroplex area. So he was a very, very wealthy man. But leading into that, after he leaves college, he had to leave college. He lost his scholarship because he married Doris, and you couldn't be married and be on a scholarship back then. So he becomes a wrestler, and he packs up Doris and their baby son, Jack Jr., and they head off, and he's making the rounds through all these little territories around the country. And he's working around, becoming famous, moderately famous. And by this time, he's got 3 sons, Jack Jr., Kevin, and David. Flash forward, they moved to Buffalo, New York to work for the Buffalo territory in the Niagara Falls area. And they're living in a trailer park, which is inhabited by a lot of the wrestlers because they're transient in nature. So Jack's out wrestling, comes home, sees Jack Jr., who's 6 years old, outside playing, has his bicycle laying down in a puddle. It's kind of into winter, going into spring, so there's snow drifts laying around and there's puddles of water everywhere. It's kind of rainy all the time. So Fritz pulls up, parks his car, and he says, "Boy, get your bike out of that damn puddle and get home." Blah, blah, blah. So the kid is at his friend's a few trailers down. He reaches down to grab his bike out of the water. And at the time when he does that, he puts his hand on this trailer to balance himself. And when he does that, somehow this trailer has an unground electric current running through it. So when he puts his hand on it, had he not been holding the metal handlebar of his bicycle, he would have been fine.
Oh,
But
no.
when he touched the trailer, basically he became the conductor.
Mm-hmm.
He completed the circuit.
Oh, my
and
God.
It shocked him, and it knocked him out. It didn't kill him, but it knocked him out cold. But he fell face first into the puddle that his bicycle was in, and he drowned in 3 inches of water.
What?
Yeah, at the age of 6.
Oh, my God.
So
I did not see that coming.
No.
Of course, the family is shook up. Fritz packs up Doris and his other 2 sons, and they're heading back to Texas. Goes to Texas. He buys into the wrestling promotion there in Dallas because, like I said, he's a landowner. He's a rancher. He made a lot of good business deals, so he's becoming very wealthy at this time. Very, very, very wealthy. And then also, flash forward, let's say 4 more years. Now there's 4 sons. There's Kevin, David, now Carrie, and baby Michael. Jack Jr. has already died. We're moving in. Now all of a sudden, there's a 5th son. Well, 6th. Chris. So now there's 5 sons living. Gotcha. 1 dead. We're getting into the 1980s. Wrestling's becoming a big business in Dallas. It's kind of cable TV's becoming a thing. So the shows are going further out. They're drawing more people. These guys are becoming like MTV music video stars, you know?
About Erich, have it all worked out. They are superheroes company.
They're making a shitload of money. Everything is theirs for the taking. It's pretty crazy. Dallas, Texas is their playground. 1984, they're partying pretty hard. David goes on a trip to Japan to wrestle over there. He doesn't even wrestle his first match, and they find him dead in his hotel. Several different accounts. The family's account is that he had a ruptured intestine, and it killed him. It caused heart failure. His intestines ruptured, caused heart failure.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor for me to be here tonight as a representative of the Von Erich family. As most of you know, this past Thursday night, David Von Erich passed away in Tokyo, Japan.
But the first story they released was he died from food poisoning from eating bad sushi. Then they also said that he died because he got kicked in the stomach really hard in a match, which we knew was a lie because he hadn't even had a match yet there. And they had many, many other different accounts. Basically, they were lying and covering up the fact that he had eaten way too many Placidils and drank about 1.5 bottles of Jack Daniels. And he choked on his puke.
What's a Placidil? It sounds delicious.
It's probably like the second worst / best muscle relaxer out there.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of that before.
No.
My doctor probably has me on a no-fly list.
Yeah, these guys if a normal human like you or I ate half of one of those, it would be like getting shot with a tranquilizer dart.
Oh.
These guys were eating like 30 to 50 of them at a time and washing them down with booze.
Damn.
And then doing cocaine and whatever else anybody had.
The 80s were wild.
Yes, so basically the story that's basically traveled through the business, through the locker rooms, David overdosed. So now they've lost 2 sons. So then fast forward 1986, 1985, Carrie gets married. He goes on his honeymoon to Mexico, and as he's coming back from Mexico through customs, he gets arrested with an ounce of pot, about 200 pills, and quote-unquote a white powdery substance. And somehow, some way, all the evidence disappeared. And to make the story that was in the newspaper go away, and I'm not even kidding you at all, at the time, the Von Erich brothers were feuding with another trio of guys called the Fabulous Freebirds. So the Freebirds come on TV and do an interview saying, we put that stuff in your suitcase. Ha ha, we tried to get you arrested. So basically, they're trying to say that the bad guys planted the drugs on them to get them in trouble.
And the Freebirds were willing to say that?
Yes, because this is the other thing that's happening at that time. Fritz is one of the largest donators and contributors to the Dallas Baptist Church scene. He's friends with Pat Robertson from the 700 Club. He's on the 700 Club all the time. Their actual wrestling show, World Class Championship Wrestling, was broadcast on the Christian Broadcast Network. They paid the show. That was like how Monday Night Raw is on the USA Network. Their show was on the Christian Broadcast Network. So it was not good for Fritz's sons to keep getting in trouble with the law when they're supposed to be good, upstanding Christian young men. So
they're naughty.
There's this whole like sleazy religion, funky, weird thing going on, you know?
Yeah.
It's like one writer that I read who was writing about this topic said it was like Jim and Tammy Faye Baker with a drop kick. Except instead of people just getting their money taken away, people were dying.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So Kerry dodges this bullet. You know, the Freebirds planted the drugs on him. So we're going to get back at them, by golly. So then, 1986, Kerry gets high, gets on his motorcycle wearing nothing but a pair of, like, basketball shorts. No shoes, no shirt, nothing. High as a kite, takes off on his motorcycle, and crashes into the back of a parked police car. And as he's flying over the top of the car, his foot gets hung up in the light bar on top of the car. And it basically rips his foot off.
Oh my God.
They do all of this delicate surgery to try to fuse it back together. And they get it fused together in a walking position. And all this time, he's been out of wrestling for almost a year and a half at this point because of the accident. And they keep saying, you know, every week, well, Kerry might be back next week. Just keep tuning in. Just keep coming back. He might be back next week. It's just not happening. So while he's convalescing, and they basically force him to get back in the ring. We need you to just go in there, punch the guy a few times, give him his disc, because it was called a discus punch, where he would spin around like a discus thrower would, and then he punches the guy. That was his finish, the discus punch. Like, you know, give him the discus punch and just pin him, and that's it. And then everybody sees you, we know that you're okay, blah, blah, blah. So they, like, inject his foot with, like, lidocaine till it's, like, enough to would kill any other, like, human or probably animal. And he goes out there, and while he's out there doing nothing but walking on it without crutches, he destroys it.
Yes, ladies, that is Kerry Von Erich, who has deserted Texas to be part of the World Wrestling Federation. But he was back tonight, and look who's with him. His legendary father, Fritz, in the corner. The opponent was supposed to be that well-known turncoat Sergeant Slaughter, but the despised Slaughter didn't show up. Slaughter's manager, the hated Iraqi General Adnan, brought Russian Boris Zukov to fill in. Look what happens. Kerry lives up to his nickname, the Texas Tornado, and even though right there General Adnan tries to trip Von Erich, Kerry was able to turn the tables, and it's bye-bye Boris.
Which leads to amputation.
Oh my God.
So then he ends up wrestling the rest of his career with a prosthetic foot, and nobody knew, except for people who knew, obviously. But
I feel like I'd notice.
While all of this is happening, there's a clear divide in the Von Erich family. The three older brothers, Kevin, David, and Kerry, and then there were the two younger brothers, Mike and Chris. While the three older brothers were busy being rock star wrestlers with everything at their hands, you know, Chris and Mike are mid to late teens, and they don't look the part. They don't, you know, their brothers are big and athletic and muscular and good looking, and they're scrawny and, you know, unspectacular. But now that David is dead, we need another Von Erich, damn it. So Mike, you're coming to the ring. And by all accounts, he was he wanted to play the guitar. He wasn't athletic. He didn't have it, but, they just started pumping him with steroids. He got up to about 200 pounds, but he couldn't take the pounding. He threw a drop kick on a guy and separated his shoulder pretty bad. He had to have a surgery. So they do the surgery, fix his shoulder, and while he's healing, somehow in the wound, he contacts a form of staph infection. Basically, it's called toxic shock syndrome, which is normally associated with tampon use. It's the only case I've ever heard of a man actually getting it.
Yeah.
And basically, it fried him. His temperature went to like 107. Organ failure.
Damn. Wow.
Just bad. But somehow, some way, this dude lives through it. He survives. And there's his dad when he comes out of his coma to remind everybody to be at the Cotton Bowl show on Saturday. And I'll be back. I'll be there, even though I just came out of a coma 5 minutes ago.
Oh, God.
Interview. I mean, he looks dead. His eyes are sunken into his face. I mean.
And then later hearing about how they'd gone on TV and asked the fans to pray for me. And that's the only reason I'm alive here today.
From the fever, the organ failure, and he couldn't wrestle anymore. He was just constantly having these fits of rage. He was getting arrested all the time for DUIs, and he tried to attack a doctor in an emergency room. And then he started getting in trouble for forging prescriptions, which was really bad for the Von Erich name. So while all this trouble's happening, he gets a DUI again. Fritz dispatches the family lawyer to get him bailed out of jail. And the lawyer goes and bails him out, and that's the last time anybody sees him alive. He, in a cruel fate echo to his brother's fate, he goes to a local lake, eats an entire bottle of Placidil, muscle relaxers, washes it down with booze, zips himself up in a sleeping bag, and they find him in the bushes.
That's so sad.
And days later, I mean, he was out there for days. And so now that's third son.
So now they only have 3 left, right? Living?
Yes.
Okay.
Now they're down Kevin, Carrie, and Chris.
Okay.
Flash forward to, let's say, 1991. Chris is early 20s, but Chris try as he might, he wanted to be a wrestler, unlike Mike. Chris really wanted to be a wrestler like his brothers. But he had medical and health issues as a kid. He had really, really, really bad asthma, so he was on prednisone his whole life, which prednisone makes your bones brittle.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Anytime he would get thrown into the corner or get hit over the back or he'd fall on the ground, he would break his arm, break his wrist, break his ankle. He couldn't take the pounding, couldn't take that because he wanted to be in the business, but he physically wasn't capable.
Yeah.
And of course, oh, you're their little brother. Oh, you're their little brother. You're their little brother. He couldn't take that either. So he goes up into the woods. The family owns like a 200 and some acre ranch. He just rides his 4-wheeler off into the woods. One of the brothers, I think it was Kevin, went to the house because Chris still lived with Doris and Fritz, and the brothers all had houses on this acreage too. Fritz kept a very tight leash on his family. But one of the brothers goes, where's Chris? And everybody's looking for Chris, can't find Chris. So they go up to Chris's room looking for him. They find a note on the bed. Tired of this shit. Tired of everybody saying, oh, you're their brother. I'm tired of not being able to do anything about it. Tired of my body failing me. Just tired of it. So they go looking for him. They go up to, because he had a place like in the woods where he would go that they knew of. So they went up there, and that's where they found him. He had shot himself in the head.
Oh my gosh.
They're down, Chris.
Oh, yeah, they sure are.
Fast
Damn.
forward, 1993. By this point, the family business of world-class championship wrestling is done. It's dead. No pun intended. So Kerry gets a job working for Vince McMahon's WWF, traveling the whole country. But by this point, he's got one foot. He's got a severe steroid and cocaine problem. Just, he's in a bad way. And to the point where at one point, the DEA had gotten information of a wrestler traveling with large amounts of cocaine. So they set up a sting operation at the Kiel Auditorium in St. Louis, but with Vince being connected throughout the country with politicians, he knew it was coming. So he called a meeting the night before saying, you better not have a fucking crumb on you, excuse my language, when you show up in St. Louis. And before that ever happened, he looked right at Kerry Von Erich and said, you are going to rehab. So they sent him straight to rehab. So he gets out of rehab, gets back on the road, and goes right back into it. And
I was hoping this was going to be the feel-good moment,
Right.
but no.
No, he got fired. So then he's back in Dallas working in front of local crowds, in front of maybe 50, 60 people instead of 20 to 30,000, making next to no money. His wife has now said, I'm leaving you. I'm taking our kids. And then at this point, obviously, he's got a serious opioid addiction for painkillers because, you know, the guy's got one foot.
Right.
And wrestlers basically live in pain. I mean, yes, the finish is determined, but when you pick a guy up and you throw him down on plywood, you're picking a guy up and you're throwing him on plywood. You know, they get hurt. They get hurt a lot. And the guy was just living in pain, and he needed pills to survive. That was where he was at. And he had been basically going around all over the Metroplex area there trying to shop prescriptions. You know, basically every pharmacy was like, we just, no. And then it was fake prescriptions, forged prescriptions. He got caught forging. So he had already had a previous cocaine arrest that he was on probation for. So now this arrest meant you're going to jail.
Uh-oh.
And he couldn't take that. So he went out
Bro,
to his dad.
You're wrestling on one foot. You can go to jail.
Right.
It's going to be fine.
He went to his dad's ranch where his dad was pouring a concrete driveway. He pulled up and he said, I'm going to go out and shoot some pheasants. So he goes in the house and he gets a 44 mag and he goes out driving out onto the property, and he went to the tree that I guess that all the brothers used to play in when they were kids growing up on this ranch. Sat down, shot himself in the heart.
News for wrestling fans this morning. Pro wrestler Kerry Von Erich has apparently taken his own life. He was one of the members of the famous Von Erich wrestling family. Kerry was found yesterday by his father near a farmhouse on the family ranch near Dallas. This is only the latest tragedy for the family of 6 brothers. 5 of them are now dead. If Kerry's death is ruled a suicide, it'll be the 3rd suicide in the family in the last 6 years. Friends say Von Erich was suffering from a drug addiction and depressed over the deaths of his brothers. Kerry Von Erich was scheduled to wrestle tonight in Dallas against the Angel of Death.
Oh my God.
He's gone. So now there's only Kevin.
Oh my goodness.
And here's the good part.
Okay.
Kevin survives to this day.
Okay. Damn.
He sold everything related to wrestling and the family business, sold the ranch, but he kind of is like his dad. He moved his whole family to Hawaii, bought a bunch of land out there. All of his kids live on the acreage in houses just like he did, but I don't think he's as overbearing as his father was. I think he just wants his family together because he saw all this go away.
I couldn't imagine losing one sibling, let alone
5.
5.
Yes.
Wow.
One of the more tragic stories of wrestling.
Yeah.
Man.
That's sad.
But then there's like the funny stories of like Hacksaw Jim Duggan and the Iron Sheik who are fighting each other on TV in like a big feud. they get arrested driving together on the New Year's, smoking a joint, and drinking beer.
Okay, yes. I wanted to end on something cute.
Yes.
So the funny stories.
Yeah.
But there's not many of those that you can really tell on a family-friendly show.
I wouldn't really call us family-friendly.
I don't think I would either.
Like, wrestlers are like the lowest common denominator humans. It's sad to say, but not so much anymore. But like 60s, 70s, 80s, they were like the most deplorable humans.
It sounds like 80s. I mean, yeah, wild. That's crazy.
Oh.
Just stories of drug use and, like I said, bar fights. It just, it never ends. It's a bottomless well.
Dang.
Anytime you need a topic, just throw a coin in the wishing well at the wrestling ranch.
Yeah. Well, that's a pool I'd never swam in. So you had me at every turn with the Von Erichs. I'm like, now what? Now what? Is he going to survive this motorcycle crash? Then what? So that one was crazy.
Here's the thing that's happening right now, actually. There's a movie being made called The Iron Claw. It's about the Von Erich family. And I imagine it's going to be extremely whitewashed, like, because obviously the family's involved, Kevin's involved.
Oh.
So it's not going to be, the real reasons. They're not going to tell you, Dave's going to have a ruptured intestine that gives him heart failure in Japan.
Right.
It's not going to have anything to do with all the plastidos he ate and then choked on when he threw up.
Right. I'll probably still watch it, though. It still sounds good.
But the guy who plays Kevin in the movie is Zac Efron.
Oh,
really?
You got me at Zac Efron.
Is that why he's been bulking up?
You're going to get ungot when you see his haircut in this movie when he's portraying a wrestler from the 1980s.
Can't wait.
He looks like an Amish dude with a bowl cut. It's actually quite funny.
Hey, I think we all had that haircut.
Oh, wow.
All our moms had the same Tupperware.
That's right. Not Katie. She's a baby. Thank you so much, Drew. I loved them.
Yes, seriously. Thank you.
My pleasure to stop in and say hi. And like I said, I can go on and on about any subject. So anytime you're in need of a guest, holler at me.
If you could just commit to once a month, because then it's kind of like a chill night for us. We can just listen.
Sure.
All right, we'll send out a calendar invite.
Perfect.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, you guys. Have a great show.
Thank you. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Drew. I hope you guys enjoyed that as much as we did. We don't know much about old-timey wrestling, but
the Von Erichs.
That was tragic.
I can't imagine having 5 siblings.
Mm-mm.
Although I do have 4.
But all of them gone.
All of them, no.
I mean, they were all sad stories in their own way, but you as a sister, me as a mother, like, I can't imagine that much loss. That's tragic. And I'm going to watch that movie.
I am too.
I'm going to watch that movie.
Yeah.
So a couple updates.
We have...
Take it away,
Katie. It's all me. So I'm going to start with Miley and Liam. Amy.
Dun, dun, dun.
Sent me something fun over the weekend. I don't know if I would call it fun.
I was shocked and also being lazy. So I was like, I saw this article. I'm like, Miley and Liam, what? I'm just going to send it to Katie and wait for the update. So I'm learning with you guys.
So you sent me a screenshot or a Facebook link or something. And when I clicked on it, it said Liam Hemsworth suing Miley Cyrus for defamation of character because of flowers.
And is that true?
It is not.
Oh, good.
False.
I was like, what a wuss, Liam. Get over yourself. Okay, false news.
Yeah, so the people that were Photoshop or that were spreading that out there were Photoshopping those things.
Okay.
Like, they very clearly took a Google image of each of their signatures, and pasted them onto some court documents. Was not true.
Okay.
So, but the Miley, I can't with your drama.
Bringing the
today.
drama.
The next best thing that I found about Miley is she is partnered with Disney Plus.
Okay.
So she's going back to her Disney roots and
bringing back Hannah Montana
in a former fashion. She is releasing all summer vacation. I don't remember what the album's called.
Okay.
It's called Backyard Sessions on Disney Plus, and so she just kind of like talks about how she wrote the album, and then we'll go through some of the songs. And
I'm gonna watch that too.
Yeah, you're gonna have to.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it yet, but I'm excited.
Okay.
Do you have any updates?
The only thing I was gonna mention is the latest with this Madeline McCann Julia
Oh,
saga.
okay.
So it's very slow moving right now, but there are a bunch of just things happening all at once, and it's kind of hard to sort through. But now I'm hearing the McCanns have not agreed to a DNA test.
Oh.
But Madeline is represented now by a doctor, probably by some legal people, and she is going to be tested against another against some other missing children.
Wow.
So if nothing else, we're going to start ruling some stuff out. One thing that I did read, and we'll see if it's false news or not, is part of the representation, the people, the team that's surrounding Julia right now, they reached out to the hospital where she was born, and there's no record of her being there until she was 5 years old.
What?
So if that's true, that's an interesting little spin. So more to come. I'm going to keep following it and try to keep up on what's going on. That is the only update I brought this week.
I just have one little quick update that I know you're sick of hearing about.
Doubt it. No.
But we talked about Haley and Selena last week. Selena Gomez is back out there on social media. She deactivated some of her accounts because she was just like, nope, this drama is not for me. I'm going to sit back and just do my own thing. But she's back. I haven't seen any of her updates, but I have read a couple articles about her being back. So I just know this beef is not over yet.
I know I already told you this off camera today, but I'm tired of it already.
I told you!
I'm tired of it. And also, I do think Haley's a mean girl, but the entire world attacking her.
Everybody.
Haley, if I could be your public relations person, I would suggest that you just go off the grid for a little bit, work on yourself, and come back and show us that. But all this hashtagging and the pictures and come on, we're better. We're older than that. We're
and
better
Justin
than that.
too. I don't know if you've seen some of the things. I'm sorry, I know you're tired of talking about it, but
it's okay.
I have seen many people speculating that he's got a Selena tattoo on his arm.
He's always got it
out. Or he's always referencing her in some way. Or he's happy in all the pictures except the ones with
and
Haley.
They'll find the one where he's like, hey, you can find a bunch of pictures of me looking cranky too, but it doesn't mean I'm in a bad mood.
I know. So they both should just go off the grid for a little while.
Work on you guys.
Yeah, just keep it private.
Selena's still my queen. But those other two, just let's leave them alone. Let them sort it out.
Yes, but welcome back, Selena.
Welcome back.
I think that's all the updates I have. Okay. I am excited for next week's episode. I'm going to give some updates on the Murdaugh family.
Oh,
so I know
there's a lot
last week. So I have a ton of updates. That's really going to be what my episode's going to be about. So I'm excited. Okay. I'm excited about that. But anything else?
That's it.
That's it. She says.
Thank you guys for all your support, and hope you enjoyed this episode of
These Nuts Podcast.